He's currently the 61st pitcher off the board based on NFBC ADP data. That will be good for 225th overall. DeSclafani is a control pitcher who gives up a lot of home runs, and it doesn't get a ton of Ks. He also hasn't logged a bunch of innings to this point. So that doesn't sound good, but yet I find myself getting him in a lot of places, particularly in dynasty leagues. And I think that comes from him being a pitcher who still has another level he could conceivably reach, yet he's still available on the relatively cheap side. And, there's not a lot of starting pitchers, especially in dynasty leagues, that are up for grabs. So DeSclafani seems to be that guy that people are willing to give up, yet there's still room to hope that he could reach levels that people have kind of predicted for him. He's got a swinging strike rate of 9.5%, which is approaching very good levels. And that's a career number. That's not just a one-time thing. That's been his, consistently throughout his time in the big leagues. Now, you would think with his moderately high ground ball ratios and a very respectable K rate, he would compile a lot more strikeouts. But at 7.5 per 9, he just doesn't. And the home runs, while I said are plenty, they don't necessarily kill him, but that was helped in large part to his 78% strand rate in 2016. I personally, I'm worried that his ERA spikes a little, and his WHIP has never really been outstanding. But as the 61st pitcher being taken in redraft, and at the end of the 18th round, I still want him to round out my pitching staff. There is upside, albeit I am starting to lose a little faith in that. But like I said, I find myself getting him in a ton of places, mostly in dynasty leagues. And Ralph, what's your take with DeSclafani? Because like I said, it's a guy that we kind of feel like should be a better pitcher than he is. But if we are taking what he's giving us, then it's okay.
Yeah, I think he sounds more like he should be a great chef, like making me a nice garlicky Italian meal, something hearty. That's what he sounds like to me. But truthfully, as a pitcher, I think last year, unless there's some development in terms of sequencing, swing and miss, just he's got to find another way to attack hitters, and I think that's where the evolution of DeSclafani will come. If he remains the guy he was last year, I think last year's probably going to be as good as it gets. He could maybe get a little bit more luck on his side. He wasn't overly lucky. I think things were sort of in line for how well he pitched, but I think you brought up number one. There is some injury risk there. There is some concern that he's not ever going to be a 200 inning pitcher. I think if he was a guy that you could rely on for 200 innings, he wouldn't be all that different from somebody we talked about last week in Chris Tillman. The control is relatively good. Like you said, I think that's his strength. He doesn't get a ton of weak contact. He gives up a lot of home runs, and he's in a homer-prone ballpark. Great America Ballpark is one of the top 5, to 6 home run-friendly ballparks in the major leagues. And there's not a lot of separation in his pitchers in terms of velocity. He's sort of got the low 90s fastball. His change is in the upper 80s. His slider's in the upper 80s. And then he also throws a curveball that's in the lower 80s. His slider is definitely his best secondary offering. There were some good things. I thought there was a step forward with the swing and miss stuff slightly. As you said, the swing and miss rate, swing strike rate isn't bad at 9.5%. But there's nothing here to really get me overly excited about with DeSclafani. As I said, I think he's somebody that needs to follow sort of the Rick Porcello blueprint of attacking hitters differently with his mix of pitches and maybe taking a little bit off of the change, and just sort of picking his spots. That's where he's going to make the next step, the evolution as a pitcher. At this point, he's a guy that, in deeper leagues, I'm fine with owning at the back end of my rotation. I think he can give you some valuable innings, not bad in head-to-head leagues, but he's not somebody that I'm beating down doors to own either, though.
Right. I mentioned he's currently the starting pitcher 61. I think the upside is that he creeps into the top 50, which would place some value on his current draft position. So I think we're in agreement that we like him, but we're not knocking down any doors to get him. If he's there, he falls to us, and he's available, we'll take him.